Yes, welcome in September 8th edition of BloodHorse Monday. Amazing. We have been flying through the year here. Del Mar summer come and gone. Saratoga come and gone. One more day at Kentucky Downs, buddy. It is Breeders' Cup season. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing very well. Back from Kentucky Downs after a great weekend down there. And I had a pretty successful meet with some of my features going into it. I rode about 6 horses total and 4 features for the Kentucky Downs meet. Got 3 wins and 2 runner-up finishes by less than a length. And then on top of that, one of the yearlings that I previewed in the sale just sold for $900,000. So I'm on a hot streak right now if you're following along on bloodhorse.com.
So this is a good and bad situation. Let me explain why. We thought it was this show. What if it's just you?
I don't know. Maybe it is.
I mean, this is bad news for. I don't like the start of this show. I don't like this at all.
I know, because
you're pushing me aside.
I know they're going to cut you at some point.
Look at my features. I'm Sean the Rainmaker Collins. Like, I don't need this in my life, Sean. I'm busy enough. I got stuff going on. I got a bunch of kids. Like, I don't need you shoving me out of the industry this quickly into the show. It's a minute 13 in. What are we doing?
I know, and I'm already kind of pushing you out here. But yeah, I'm hot right now, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully that carries over to whoever I talk to for the Churchill Downs meet and the Keeneland meet and Breeders' Cup coming up. Hopefully, if you're watching this and you heard that, answer my phone calls if I'm wanting to speak to you. Stop for those couple minutes
Call
at the bar.
1-900 Sean's picks for all of his picks this coming weekend as well. He's our favorite tout.
The key secret is I haven't bet any of these horses. That's the key secret.
You know,
I haven't had time to place any bets, so that's why they're all winning. Once I start betting on them, then they'll start losing.
How about you tell me who you've interviewed, and then I'll just go ahead and.
You know how you can find out who I interviewed?
Where are those, Sean?
You can just look at bloodhorse.com.
bloodhorse.com. Speaking of Kentucky Downs, you were down there. These Saturdays at Kentucky Downs now are turning into must-watch cavalcades of graded stakes, essentially. Millions of dollars underway. 18 stakes, by the way. $14 million alone in KTDF money.
Yeah.
So just thoroughbred development money here in the state of Kentucky.
It's crazy.
And so they are able to give away massive purses down there. You're down there yesterday. I want to start with the good stuff. And one of the good things was that Foley barn. They gave us Bango, right? They gave us so many great wins at Churchill Downs, a family to watch, obviously involved in the HBPA in Kentucky as well. Family's been at it forever. You know where the Foley barn is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just do, right? And it's a reminder in our sport how hard it is to win a freaking grade 1.
Oh, I know.
I couldn't when Foley didn't have one.
When he won the Franklin Simpson on Saturday, and I heard somebody down there say, "Oh, that's his first grade 1 win." I stopped and I was like, "What?
No, it's not.
That's his first grade 1 win."
Right.
That it was.
There you go. So congratulations to the Foleys, one of the the families of Kentucky racing. Frankly,
yes.
You're there. What was that celebration like? I can only imagine.
Oh yeah, it was great. He was getting hugs and congratulations all around. Now the great part I thought about it was how humble he was afterwards. Defaulting the credit to the owners and the breeders of the horse, and the whole team around him. So he didn't really want to take credit to himself for getting his first grade 1 win, but you could see a big smile on his face the whole time. They were standing around long after the race was over, long after the next race was over, just kind of still celebrating over by alongside the paddock behind the tower there. So it was a great reaction for them. So happy for that team. I know they work very hard. I see them a lot on the Churchill Downs backstretch, so it's good to see them break through and get that grade 1.
For all the talk about how unusual Kentucky Downs is, and it is, I get it.
Yeah,
the grade 1 still grade 1, brother.
Exactly.
It's still a grade 1.
And there's probably going to be more grade 1s here in the future with some of these fields and some of these horses that have been winning
that's
recently.
The thing too, right? And people, I've you hear some of the rumblings of, the payouts and blah, blah, blah. And these payouts are still insane. They're great. But that's largely because of big fields, not necessarily because of anything else. And the good news there, Sean, like you said, is they are really getting top end, not just American horses, but we talked with Adrian Beaumont last week. They're getting tons of good shippers from Europe as well. And frankly, Adrian's eye for those shippers has been really good.
Yes.
I would love to, we should go back through of his 8 European shippers, how they fared at hitting the board and those kinds of things. Several winners last week.
Yes.
And so
a couple of them ran decent this past. They didn't get a win, but
right?
they didn't or they did run well on the weekend, the 3 that were over here this past weekend.
She's So Spicy gets the win. Kilwin was in that race. Take away from her?
Oh, She's So Spicy she's phenomenal. And talking to Jose D'Angelo the morning after the race, it sounds like nicest person in horse racing. He and I had the lucky spot. There were 3 races that we watched. He just happened to be up standing by where he's next to me. In 2 of those 3 races, he hit the exacta in both races. So now we have the running joke that that's his lucky spot and that we have to
See,
watch
I don't
the
like
race
this.
together.
You're doing this again now, Sean. I don't like this at all. I don't like any. We're 5 minutes in. You've essentially removed me from horse racing. I don't like any part of this.
But he told me the day after the race, I mean, they're thinking Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint with her.
Why not?
3-year-old filly going in against older colts and horses there and the older mares like AG Bullet in that race. I'm surprised that we don't have a Breeders' Cup filly mare turf sprint at this point. But the cool thing about that is that we get to see She's So Spicy, AG Bullet in against the boys in that race. You saw Caravel do that a couple of years ago.
AG Bullet already beaten the boys this year.
He's already beaten the boys this year, but she's an exciting quick prospect. She's been phenomenal on the turf here in America. Her only bad race on the turf was the one race they went out to Ascot, and they really didn't have an excuse for her, and they think she just didn't really like the training leading up to it and the difference in the locations and all that. But I mean, she was very quick. Kilwin, I'm going to give a pass to on this race. She got kind of, from what I could see, where I was, it looked like she kind of got cut off a little bit when she was trying to make her run. Couldn't really find any open ground. So I'll give her a pass and wait to see her on the dirt here again coming up here.
The horse won a Kentucky Downs thing doesn't always mean they're just going to run back and do it again.
Yes,
it doesn't always mean that.
And she could have ran better if she got a little cleared trip as they were coming down the stretch. There was one point where it looked like she was finally starting to kick in, and then you had to kind of shift to a different spot, and so that impacted her a little bit. But yeah, She's So Spicy was phenomenal. D'Angelo getting the exacta there, Chloe running second. I know he was very happy and relieved with that as well, and just kind of helped to build on that. We had Old Crazy Bones, a former claim, come in and win the Turf Cup, get his Breeders' Cup spot for the Breeders' Cup Turf as well. It's a good weekend down there at Kentucky Downs. Some great racing.
Having a lot of fun with that meet. Of course, the Kentucky Circuit returns to Churchill Downs this Thursday. I've always questioned the Wednesday before Thursday when you have an all-turf course. A lot of room for oopsies on that one for sure, but hopefully a dry day down there in Franklin on Wednesday. Del Mar over the weekend running its 2 big 2-year-old races as well. An upset on Saturday in the debutante, but we got the return in the win of Brant on Sunday. A bit workmanlike, frankly, didn't do a lot. And if Desert Gate doesn't desert a good chance at the race at the gate, I think he's in it right away. And so I'm not out on Desert Gate yet, especially as we add the distance for the juvenile. But Brant stands out. I mean, look, he's a Baffert trainee at Del Mar, and that's where the Breeders' Cup's going to be. He's going to be a must include, right? I mean, it just is what it is.
I mean, you're going to have to look at those horses when you think about the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. You saw Citizen Bowl last year. He kind of got a little overlooked going into the race, and then as did some of the other Bafferts, and they run 1-2-4 because, I mean, it's Baffert running at Del Mar with 2-year-olds. What else do you expect? When it comes
the
to
other Baffert wins on Saturday for sure. I think the debutante is going to be more wide open than we've had in recent years, as far as the 2-year-old filly or the debutante, the juvenile filly, excuse me, out at Del Mar. I think that field is just going to be pretty wide open. We're kind of used to having that superstar filly at 2. We're just used to it. I think we're going to have more of an open field feeling that way. Last year, we were all over the East Avenues of the world and that sort of thing heading into the Breeders' Cup. And I do wonder if Brant's going to be that horse, if he's going to be the one that we lean on a little bit too hard. But look, Speed Figures went down facing winners for the first time, right? He didn't just get the paid workout like he did on debut, but $3 million purchase for sure for the Zidane folks. So obviously they have thoughts.
Yes, they do. They do. And as far as him being kind of that clear horse on the East Coast, I think right now you would think Ted Nafi is probably, would you say the 2-year-old on the East Coast that's kind of the head and shoulders above the rest will be kind of, at this point, we'll see what happens in the Iroquois and the Breeders' Futurity and the Champagne. But right now he looks like kind of that big threat on the East Coast that would be kind of pulling a lot of the attention.
There you go. All right. Well, we're going to talk with Steve Cauthen today. No need to introduce him, but we'll get caught up on what he's working on currently. We'll get caught up on things happening up at Horseshoe Indianapolis as well. They are presenting sponsors of this show. Great stakes action, there on Wednesday. Try to catch Rachel toward the end of this episode as well. All right, I'm really pleased to welcome to BloodHorse Monday. His name is Steve Cauthen. Needs very little introduction for our audience, I'm sure, but he joins us here on BloodHorse Monday. Steve, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. It's good to be talking to you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I know you had a very exciting weekend last weekend with Bear River, a horse that you bred. Obviously, we all know you as the jockey of Affirmed as well, the 1978 Triple Crown winner. So a lot of different things that you've done in this business, but let's go ahead and start with Bear River. What was it like watching him storm down the stretch there at Kentucky Downs and win that race?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I've been watching him. He's obviously, been improving. His last race at Ellis when he beat Capola, or and a couple, another good horse in that race. I could see that he was, improving, and of course, I think that they were, taking a shot, to run him there at Kentucky Downs, but he'd run there last year and run pretty good. He broke out of the gate great, and I know that's how he likes to run, and I could tell, James rides him a lot, and so I could see seemed to be pretty happy on him, and he just kept going. So I was excited. Obviously, it's hard to breed a good horse, a decent horse, and even a decent one. So yeah, to breed a horse that's can win a $2 million race is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I know. I talked to James Graham after the race, and he was he praised this horse a lot. Said he was probably one of the best turf sprinters that he's ever been aboard, and
Yeah,
he's been riding for a while. He's been on some good horses.
He might
But
know a little, yeah.
yeah, he
Right?
might
Yeah,
know a
he might
little.
know a little, yeah.
yeah.
Tell us
Been
just a
around.
little bit about Dreamfields Farm that you have and your partnership that you had breeding this horse, and what was he like as you guys were raising him?
I bought this farm in 1977 when I turned 17, and my dad, basically I needed to invest in something, and I decided to buy a piece of property over here, not too far from my dad's farm in Walton, and yeah, I mean, I never knew what I would do, but at some point I started, deciding, that I wanted to breed some horses, and even when I was still riding, my dad, obviously I owned a few mares and we bred some, and so we started quietly developing this farm. At that time, all my horses were at my dad's farm, um, but it just kind of developed, and when I got back, I think I played golf for a couple of years just to, kind of unwind from racing and stuff. And then I kind of realized, I need more than that to do. So I started, you know, getting some of my own mares and started breeding. And it's a process. It's you learn a lot. You realize how little you really do know about it. Uh, Even though you think you know a lot about breeding and stuff, when being a jockey and all that stuff. But it's been a very interesting learning experience. Learning better how to take care of I mean, I've always thought of myself as a good horseman, but you realize there's always more to it. Like my dad always said, you could live 5 lifetimes and never know it all. So it it's been fun. Doing it, and I've bred some decent horses. I've bred some nice, I mean, I never have had, I don't have the best mares. I can't breed. I can't afford to breed to the very best stallions. Once in a while I get a chance to do a full share or something like that. But that's what kind of makes it challenging and exciting when you can come up with a good horse.
Steve Cauthen with us here on BloodHorse Monday. Sixth at the fairgrounds, eighth at Horseshoe before winning at Ellis. Did you think after that race at Horseshoe you'd be headed to the Breeders' Cup? Tell us the truth.
I mean, no, I was, the horse kind of, like you said, he kind of, I sold him as a weanling. They tried to resell him as a yearling. They didn't get him sold. Then they took him to a 2-year-old sale, and they finally sold him. They obviously lost money on him, so I feel sorry for the guys that pinhooked him from me, but still, at least that shows them that they pinhooked a good horse,
That's
and
right.
he he's done, he's, like you said, he's taken time. He was kind of he grew a lot from a weanling to a yearling, and he was kind of a big and lanky, and maybe that was part of what made it hard for him to sell. But I think as time's gone on, he's developed, and mentally he was, his first few races you could see he kind of was raced a little bit green and didn't seem to know exactly what he was doing. But as time went on, he got better and better, and like in that last race when I mean he laid down and ran down Coppola, who's a pretty nice horse. So he's been learning and improving, and yeah, I mean, it would be amazing for him to win the Breeders' Cup, but just to be in it's kind of cool.
Well, you bred this horse with Don Brady and Brendan Burke. You
Mhm.
mentioned how you don't always have, maybe not necessarily the top mares, but let's give 65 North some credit here. Just tell us a
Right.
little bit. Tell us a little bit about her.
She was a mare that was in the tailor-made consignment, and I just thought she was gorgeous. She was a midshipman, and she, who I like, and she, she was in foal and not this time, so that was another thing I liked. Of course, the foal I got out of her with not this time was just a small, kind of very average filly, and turned out to not be any good. I did a partnership with her, and we tried to race her, but she didn't do any good, and so that part of it didn't work out. But I bred her to Flame Away, and I liked Flame Away. I bought a share in him at the time, and just thought it was a good physical matchup. And you just kind of, I mean, I study a lot. I'm very into inbreeding to quality mares, half sisters, full sisters, good families. But and to be quite honest, I'll have to look back and try to remind myself why I bred, other than just that I had bought a share in Flame Away, and I wanted to support him, so I wanted to breed him to a mare that I liked, and I did like 65 North. So it's breeding's kind of like you say, it's there's a million reasons to and to not do something, and connect, breeding two horses together, and it this time, it worked out. The colt was, he was a very kind of, he was a big kind of strong bodied colt, and that's why I sold him as a weanling. But he looked like he could be fast, but as I said, as he grew, he turned kind of lanky, and I mean, I would, I haven't seen him in person recently, but I would be, he doesn't look like the average, sprinter type, body, but he can run.
Well, you mentioned there's a million reasons. Well, there were 2 million reasons to be running at Kentucky Downs last weekend.
Right. Yeah.
When you're looking at it from a breeder's perspective, the purse money that's on offer there, all the money through the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund as well, how has that really benefited the breeding industry in Kentucky, and how much does that really kind of help support, especially if you're looking for breeding a nice grass horse?
Right. Well, I mean, it's huge, just the fact that, the Kentucky program is so strong is why the sales is going to be strong this week coming up. I mean, people are in the market for Kentucky breds because there's so much money to run for. So yeah, it's been a huge plus. And I thank Damon Thayer every time I see him because he had a lot to do with it. So, but it I think everybody, anybody that breeds in Kentucky should be grateful that we have such a great program at the moment, and long may it last.
Yeah. And you mentioned that sale that's starting up today, the Keeneland September Yearling Sale. I know you're going to have a couple of horses later on in the sale next week. Just tell us a little bit about the string that you're bringing into the sale.
Well, I've got a modernist filly. I like her. He's gotten off to a pretty good start, kind of, I think obviously better than most people seem to be expecting, because, he kind of was like one of the bottom of the, the heap kind of stallions, but he's started off really well. Big, strong filly out of a Curlin mare that I like. So uh, I've got her. I've got a real nice flame away filly out of a mare called Channel Victory. Channel Victory is out of a full sister to the dam of Liam's Map, and obviously she's also the grand dam of Gunrunner. So it's a really good family. This is a real nice filly. She's beautiful, good walker, and all that. Obviously, you know, you get back in book 5, but that's it. I think I'm hoping, that the sale's going to be strong enough that everybody's going to still be here, at book 5, and still looking for quality horses. So hopefully that will help her. And then I've got a higher power colt that is out of a young mare that I like a lot, Rough Stuff. And I've done well with Rough Stuff's dam. I sold a lot of nice horses out of her. So it's a family I know, and obviously higher power is kind of quiet at the moment, but a big, good-looking horse. So their X-rays and scopes are good. So just got to see. Hopefully, people are around to see them.
You're also the racing manager at Dixiana Farm, and I wanted to ask you about Forever Forever After All, excuse me, who we've seen this year win a couple of graded stakes. Frankly, last seen running fourth in the New York Stakes up there at Saratoga. Any updates on her? We last saw her in June. How's she doing?
Yeah, she's in foal to Flightline and doing great. She actually won the race she won at Keeneland, which was the Bewitched, I believe. She was in foal. We bred her in between, the race in Florida and that race, and so she carried her foal to a grade whatever, grade 2, grade 3 win, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So that was exciting, and it's one of those. She's a mare that Mr. Shively bred out of Julia Tuttle, who is a mare that he'd had a few other real nice horses. Tom's Daytot came out of him. I think that Tom's Daytot was before Mr. Shively owned her, but we had a couple nice fillies, and we had a little bad luck and a little good luck, but this filly was all fun and good luck. And Mr. Shively chose not to. He took her to the sale, but he backed her up and he didn't let her go. I think he RNA'd her for 300,000 or whatever it was. But it proved he proved to be right. She took some time to kind of come together, and then of course we eventually tried her on the turf, and the turf was obviously, big time, positive for her. But she just was one of those continually improving fillies, and she's big and good looking, and I think she's gonna, she should make a really good broodmare.
Does the foal get credit for the grade 3 win
It's
when he goes through the sales
I'm telling you, it's a great question. Also, I'm proud of you for not asking why Flightline. That's a good job. Not asking.
Exactly.
It'd be nice if you could get the credit for that.
No, that'd be exactly
when you go to the sales ring, get you a couple extra dollars.
Grade 3 in the womb.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Well, obviously, we can't have you here without asking you to take us back to 1978. 18-year-old kid getting on the back of Affirmed through probably...
He was a farm owner by then, though.
A farm owner. 18-year-old kid farm owner. Getting on the back of Affirmed, obviously, we all remember that year for the great rivalry between Affirmed and Ali Dar. But what do you remember most looking back on Affirmed's, not just his Triple Crown run, but his legendary career?
Yeah, he was the Michael Jordan of horses for me. He was one of those horses that could do it all, and he won from 5 furlongs to a mile and a half. He was a champion at 2, 3, and 4. He was just so consistent, and he was a joy to ride. He really was push button. Once I got to know him. We had this connection, and he, was one of those horses that had lots of gears, but you could downshift him and kind of, say, hang on, and then, kick him back into full gear again, which, most horses haven't got that talent to make more than one run in a race, And, tactically, that's, was a huge advantage for me against Aladar, was having, the tactical ability to, do different things. Aladar was kind of a one style, one run horse. And, he didn't like the inside and he didn't like a lot of things. So, he's very talented and he was a great horse in his own right. But, we were that much better, at least on the right days.
Well, obviously you're ahead of most 18-year-olds at that point, already owning some property and stuff like that.
Most of the farm, yep.
But what was it like just, as a young kid getting thrown into the national spotlight like that? And when you look back on that, just what do you think from that standpoint?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, all I really wanted to be was a good jockey. I didn't, even have a clue about all the other, what was going to come with it. But, I did my best to kind of do, do what I was supposed to do. And, obviously try to put racing in a good light. I mean, um, do my bit for racing, and promote the sport that I loved. And, I think that that's probably one of the great things that I felt that I got out of winning the Triple Crown on the firm was that I thought it really attracted so many new people to the game, in that at that time, from around the world. And I constantly get fan mail and have heard, from
Good.
people that was, part of why they got involved in racing.
Steve, I have to ask, because you rode a Triple Crown winner, you rode in all three races. In 2025, when you hear that Sovereignty's not going to Baltimore, does the Triple Crown part of your heart die a little?
A little, yeah, for sure. But, I mean, that just shows, Bill Mott, he did what he thought was right for the horse. And so far, he's definitely been proved right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's kind of, so, I mean, I say, he probably could have won the Triple Crown and maybe still done what he did. But, you got to do what you think is right, whenever anybody says, I'm doing this because I think it's the best thing for the horse. It's hard for me to argue with anybody, that's trying to do that. So, although, as you say, it was kind of shocking to realize that they weren't going to go. And, but Godolphin, they're all, they've done it all before. They obviously, the Triple Crown's not, not the only thing out there. So, but yeah, it was a little shock to the system when I first heard it, no doubt.
Well, the Triple Crown is obviously for the Triple Crown winners, a very tight knit community. There's not a lot of you out there that could say that they've been connected to a Triple Crown winner, especially in the saddle of a Triple Crown winner. I know we just recently lost one of those members in Ron Turcott a few weeks ago. I know you went to a lot of events with him over the years, especially when they kept hauling you out every year at the Belmont when we didn't have a winner for all those years. Just what was your relationship like with Ron?
Ronnie was a great guy. Really, when I went to New York as a 16-year-old, and I looked like I was about 10. Ronnie was one of the first guys to come, basically welcome me and try to help me. Took me out and helped me find a suit. And took me to dinner a few times, that winter, because he was up there by himself as well. And we just became great friends. I'm unfortunately I was unfortunate enough to be in the stall right next to him in the race when he went down and got hurt. But after a short while, he basically just made the best of it, and did a lot of great work, supporting injured jockeys and promoting that, and just basically promoting the sport. Being the rider of Secretariat, which we sat many times, and he would tell us, you know, all the great things about him. You know, the inside story of, you know, what the horse himself, and you know everything that was going on around him. Obviously, you know, before the Derby and through the Triple Crown, and you know, it's just cool to sit there and hang out with him, and it was always fun to be with him at events, and he was always a very positive, upbeat, you know, guy, and loved his family, and so yeah, he'll be sorely missed.
Well, one final thing before you get out of here. If we get to the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar and James Graham comes up sick a few days before the race, are you ready to hop in the saddle on Bear River if the call comes, if needed?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Bear River can handle carrying me. He'd be a little overweight these days, unfortunately, but mentally I could do it in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
go. All right. Steve Cauthen to the Breeders' Cup.
I've already been riding him lots of times already. You know, so
I love it. Well, Steve, thanks so much for joining us here on BloodHorse Monday. Continued success in the
thank
ever
you.
wandering career that you've had. Good for you, man. It's spectacular. And enjoy that farm you bought as a 17-year-old. We're very jealous.
I appreciate it. I do. I was out. I just came out from batwing in one of my fields when you called and reminded me, oh yeah, I got to get on the podcast. That's why I was probably a little bit late.
Oh, you're good, Steve. We appreciate you very much. Thank you, sir.
So
Pleasure. Thanks. Great talking to you guys. Thanks for having me.
Very much, of course. Yeah, Steve Cauthen with us. You know, it's interesting when you talk 70s Triple Crown winners. And have you gone back? Something I'm so glad I did, Sean. I went back and read the articles in 1978. Triple Crown's too easy. I smiled so big going back and looking in the moment, and I'm sure Steve will go back and watch this and kind of smile at it. How freaking hard it is to win a Triple Crown.
Like, I know.
Period. Yeah. Right. But the fact that there were 3 after that kind of layoff coming into the 70s, you could see people saying, hey, new era of horse racing here in the 70s. Maybe this needs to change, whatever else. But reading those articles back in the day, man, it's so worth it to go back and look at it, because how people thought of Affirmed was that he was just another horse.
Yeah.
And as Steve points out, he was champion at 2, 3, and 4. Like that, he's not just another horse.
Yeah, he goes down as one of the all-time greats.
All-time greats, and you need to be an all-time great to be a Triple Crown.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly. Right.
And everybody always flatters Spectacular Bid a lot of the times too, for how great he was. Affirmed handled him as well. So you think of all the great horses he had to run against, not just in the Triple Crown, but throughout his career. He was really in that golden age in the 70s of all those, top horses. But yeah, 25 years between Citation and Secretariat. And then a few years later, Seattle Slew comes along the very next year, Affirmed. And then everybody's saying it's too easy. 37 years go by. Let's change it. It's too hard. Yep. American Pharaoh wins. Justify comes in right after. That's exactly right. And they always seem to come in those little strings. And we're back on one of those, it's too difficult. We need to switch things around right now. Usually when we get to that point, it seems like there's probably someone right around the corner who's about to win all 3 of these things, isn't there?
Let's go ahead and bring him in. His name is Frank Angst. He's from BloodHorse and BloodHorse.com. Frank is doing Keeneland things today. How are you, Frank? You doing all right?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on after Steve. I'm sure getting to the exits now.
Half price drinks the rest of the night. That's right. Yes. Frank Angst, of course. From BloodHorse, BloodHorse.com, and of course the magazine as well. I'm going to embarrass Frank just a little bit. I saw him on Friday, very dressed up. It was very disorienting. Very disorienting. Frank, you look good, man. How was Friday? Jeff on?
Yeah, that was of course, the TOBA Awards were this weekend. They always host those awards the weekend before the sale gets started, because a lot of people are coming to Lexington already, so that timing makes sense. And yeah, that afternoon's always a great day. It celebrates the leading state breeders from each state, and then the following night they celebrate some of the national award winners, and all the state breeders attend that as well. So yeah, terrific weekend of celebrating racing and people that are important to racing. It starts with the breeders for sure.
It's a nice get together. This year they moved it from Keeneland because of the construction to Godolphin. Can you imagine how nice that was? You know who was on the mic for that? Frank Angst. How about that? MC. They saw him on BloodHorse Monday. See, BloodHorse Monday bump is real. It is.
Yeah, is that what got you the gig there, Frank?
About it, but now we got Frank getting jobs like this. We're good. Well, good. I'm so glad you got to work on that. Keeneland sale does kick off a couple of hours ago. We've already had $1 million sale there. Frank, any trend that you're watching here following up on, say, the sales of Saratoga?
Yeah, Keeneland was a record sale last year, and it was a record year for yearlings overall last year, sales yearlings. And then just to see Saratoga, just really, it was not only a record, but just really soared to another level there. So now that's a boutique sale. So it's two nights, very select horses. Keeneland is really very much the backbone of the sales season, the largest sale. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm very confident the front end will do as well as all these other horses do, the early books. But I actually, what Steve just said, the purses are so good in Kentucky right now. Right. I think it's going to drive it right through to sale. And we're already seeing great support. There's 300 additional horses. They had to split book 5 into a 5A and 5B to accommodate that. So, yeah, I mean, it's really positive things going on right now. And with, we'll see how it plays out. It's just going in though, but that's the feeling I have going in.
Yeah. Well, I know we saw at the sale at Fasig-Tipton, kind of the first group of flight lines going through the sale, pretty well received. What can we expect from him and from any of the other first crop sires here at Keeneland?
Yeah, there's so much excitement about the stallions right now. So many of them have really just hit their stride in terms of not freshman stallions, but sires that have already done the job over and over. Your gun runners, your Curlins, your Into Mischiefs, your Not This Times. I'm leaving many off, but there's so many that are just right in that wheelhouse. It just gives the buyers so much confidence. Right. And then you throw in a freshman sire that these are his first yearlings. This is his first crop of yearlings. And there's just so much anticipation about his progeny there. Very early in today's opening session, he had a half brother to Golden Powell that went for $1.5 million to John Stewart's Resolute Racing. So yeah, there's excitement there, and it is not taking any time to show itself.
Yeah, we saw a $3 million purchase win the Del Mar Futurity yesterday, so you never know what you're going to get. But certainly, if you invest that kind of money, you're hoping it'll be a grade 1 win in a race like that for sure, Frank.
Yeah, and I know we have diehards that listen to this show, but also maybe some more newbies, and that kind of money. There's so much excitement about the breeding that if you purchase a horse like that and it has success on the track and proves itself there, then you really have something, with that breeding to go along with it. So it's a little bit of both is what generates that type of excitement. And it's going to be it's always a big few weeks at BloodHorse for us, and we're looking forward to covering it. We have a preview of the sale posted yesterday, and it's still up on the site prominent. And then we have news alerts throughout the day. And then we'll have it all wrapped up at the end of the day, both online and in our free daily newsletter, BloodHorse Daily.
Well, one of the other, I think, really unique things here at the Keeneland sale, obviously you get this in a lot of sales, but just the amount of yearlings on offer that are siblings to some of these graded winners, grade 1 winners. I know I myself wrote a preview about the full sister of Seismic Beauty and the half brother of Hope Road. And I know the Seismic Beauty sold for $900,000 right before we got on here. Just what is the excitement level for a lot of these kind of pedigrees, not just from the racing perspective, but people also thinking ahead toward, broodmare and stallion prospects already?
Yeah, it's kind of what I was saying earlier is right now we have these sires that are just so well established. You're already taking a big chance buying a horse for this kind of money. So you just like to see some clues. Like to see the family has already had success. The family is what's on the broodmare side, the female side. And all those wins are marked with black type, that type of success, graded stakes, placings and wins. And just the more you see of that in general, there's a better chance. I mean, it's something to kind of hang your hat on for sure.
you got to speak with Greg Justice. I want to set this video up. Can you tell people a little bit about Greg? That's a name we know. Certainly will come up later, I'm sure, in our interview with Racing Rachel up at Horseshoe Indianapolis, who's presenting this episode. You caught up with Greg. What should we look forward to here?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, all the leading state breeders were celebrated over the weekend, and Greg, his Justice Farm in Indiana was his breeder, his Justice Farm breeder, was celebrated as the leading breeder of Indiana. And I just wanted to talk with him about their program. He breeds a lot of horses, and that's all part of his business plan, because he has confidence in the Indiana bonus program for breeders, and he's just found this plan that works for him. And it was interesting what he had to say too, is, a horse that an Indiana bred 10 years ago might not want to be on the same track right now as an Indiana bred today. He really feels like the level of competition in Indiana has improved because of that strong program. So that's really what you want as a breed. That's what you take the most pride in, is that's really the whole ultimate goal, is to advance the breed and have stronger horses, faster horses, sturdier horses. So he takes a lot of pride in that. Yeah, I think you can see. Yeah.
All right. Well, here's Greg Justice. They spoke at Kentucky Downs. Is this Kentucky Downs or at Keeneland? I'm sorry. I'm looking.
Actually, this is at Godolphin. Yeah, right after.
Godolphin, excuse me, from Friday. There you go. Even better. There you go. So at Godolphin.
Yeah, right after the ceremony.
You're better at looking at backgrounds than that. Come on.
I was going to say, once we click it up, I'm sure it'll be beautiful. So here's the beautiful backdrop of Godolphin.
Here with Greg Justice of Justice Farms. Recently honored as the Indiana State Breeder of the Year. Congratulations on that, Greg.
Well, thank you.
What are some of the things that you like about the Indiana bred program?
Well, they're getting better all the time. They got a good program. I stand 2 stallions up there, and you get a mare award and you get a stallion award. The mare award is 20%, and it's 20% of the whole purse. And the stallion award is 10%. So actually you're getting 30%. And that's the whole purse. That's not just first place money. So your mare award's usually about $7,700, and your stallion award would be $3,800 if they're running in the maiden special weight. So it's about $11,500. Some of them old horses you run, 5-6 years, you just never know. So it adds up. They run 4 or 5 Indiana-bred races a day, and of course the meets runs from middle of April to about the middle of November, and then they shut the track down. But it's they have several grass races and dirt races, so it's just it's a good fit for me, and I think they're there to stay for a while too.
What keeps you coming back to breeding horses year after year?
Well, of course, the money.
Yeah.
You got to have an income coming in. I run a lot of horses on my farm, which means it's a lot of work. 7 days a week. But it's just like going to Vegas. The more times you pull that slot machine, the more chances you are of winning. So the more horses I can have in a race more often, more chance of me making more money and get more breeders awards. So that's the way I do it.
What do you see going on with the breed in general in Indiana? Are the horses getting better or staying the same? Kind of where's that at, the quality?
Yeah, they're definitely getting better. I've probably been doing that program at least 30 years. And years ago, you didn't have to have that great a horse. But nowadays, you got to have a good horse to win. And competition's getting better because people knows more about the Indiana-breds and stuff, so they're bringing better horses all the time. And yeah, you definitely got to have a better horse than what you used to have.
You mentioned that you like that there's bonuses available for the breeder and for the person that stands the stallion. Who are some of the exciting stallions at Justice Farm these days?
Yeah, I've got my horse, Harry's Holiday, and he's been there several years, and he's a very consistent horse. He's one of the leading horse stallions up there. And then I've got a new horse coming this year, E032. He's by Quality Road. He won a little over $500,000. Wow. Placed second in a $1 million race. So a very good looking horse. Can't fault him too much at all. Kind of excited about him coming, and I'll support him with several mares too.
Yeah.
Yeah, come and see me. They're at Breakaway Farms where they'll be standing at.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Greg.
All right, many thanks to Greg Justice and the beautiful backdrop that is Godolphin. How about that? There we go. Frank, good stuff there for sure. It's interesting that you say what you thought stood out to you there, because I agree with you. You got to be better entering the gate in Indiana than you used to be, and that's really good for the sport. Frankly, if all of our circuits can get better, yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice when you see the racing program and the breeding program all come together and accomplish that. Where each year, each crop, it gets a little bit better. Better for those horses when they're at sale, more value for them, more value for everyone that participates. So I really think Indiana's got a good thing going there. That's for sure.
Of course, we always ask you for what's going on with BloodHorse Magazine. We encourage you to go check that out. If you happen to be watching on YouTube or Spotify, easy QR code at the bottom of the screen there. By the way, give us a like, a follow, a 5-star review. All those things would be really great on the podcast. You could start doing that for us, get us moved up in that algorithm. We want to thank the 1,600 or so of you that have joined the BloodHorse family on YouTube since this show started. So we appreciate that very much. But Frank, what should we be looking for? What are you guys working on for the magazine?
We have a story coming up that I co-wrote. We just kind of looked at one farm and the economic impact of that farm. In this case, we used Mill Ridge. They were gracious enough to talk with James Gazelle, who's my co-writer, and myself for over several days. And it really puts into perspective just how many different businesses are tied to the industry, tied to Mill Ridge, and really then you just take it to the next level and you realize there's so many farms like that and so many businesses tied to this industry. I mean, when you're driving by in Lexington or Ocala or any of the other big horse farm areas in this country, and you see these big, beautiful farms, you almost have to remind yourself, it's not just a postcard. There's people working there. There's a lot of people that have their jobs tied to those farms. And, we don't need a big, ugly smokestack to pull it off. It can still be an important economic driver for those areas. So we thought we would just put that all in one place. I mean, I think a lot of the people that are already in the industry are well aware of this, but it provides a reminder, and hopefully that, as racing and breeding keeps coming up politically, hopefully this can be an article that people can point to and show why it's important we don't need extra support. We just need a level playing field is probably the way I'd put it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. No, it stands out to me, Frank, when you talk about horse racing. The one place where it is very different than other sports is it's not just an entertainment option, it's an industry. For sure. That's right. And so getting down to that farm level, I think, is really important too. And we see racing, frankly, flourishing in more agrarian areas right now. And so we see the interest in, Kentucky, places like Ocala, like you mentioned, right, where there's a real agrarian base. So it's nice to see those places still flourishing. Well, Frank, thank you so much. We encourage people, check out the magazine, and of course, bloodhorse.com. Check out the magazine tab at the top of the homepage. And if you haven't signed up for it, get the daily straight to your email. No cost to you every single day. Start your day with BloodHorse as well. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Louie. Thanks, Sean.
No problem. All right. Catch up with Frank. Down the line, want to get to our friend Racing Rachel here from Horseshoe Indianapolis as well. A couple of stakes coming up on Wednesdays if people are betting in the middle of the week and haven't found Horseshoe yet somehow. Great takeout rates. And frankly, they've got those stakes programs on Wednesday. And I thought that was, Eric Hallstrom's the racing manager up there, a guy that I'm sure you've gotten to meet. And just how he thinks about Indiana racing is just different than other tracks that we consider to be sort of regional tracks, if you will, around the country. The experience up there, really, really a good one. And boy, how many times you been to the Derby now up there?
Five now.
Okay,
I've been to five Indiana Derbies.
Okay.
Yeah,
and obviously the mixed breed program you just heard from Greg Justice about. It's not just full field; it's good racing too, which is fun. And so it does fill up that way. And as you mentioned, it's 4 or 5 races a day. They're filling their own gates with horses from Indiana. So if people are watching from around the country about how to run a breeding program, Indiana might be right up there. Well, here's Racing Rachel. I think Sean's in the beginning of this interview, but not, and then I am, and then not, and all these things. But she's awesome. So just listen to this interview.
Watch the shuffling of chairs as this interview goes. If you're watching on YouTube and Spotify.
Oh, here's Racing Rachel up there at Horseshoe Indianapolis. All right, and speaking of Horseshoe Indianapolis, really glad to welcome back Rachel McLaughlin up there at Racing Rachel M, of course, on all of the social. She bailed on Quarter Horse Day and made me work so she could go to Saratoga. It's a heck of a thing for Rachel to do to me. But it turned out I'm really good at horse.
You're really good at Spanish
stuff and doing post-race interviews in Spanish. A heck of a thing.
Everyone was talking about that. I literally was like, they were like, Rachel who? Louie did an interview in Spanish. Like, you got so shown up. I was like, oh, that's fine. That's fine. I am so glad because Louie crushed it. So yeah, fun. Thank you so much. This is why I love having so many friends in the horse racing industry, because without it, I would never get to go to Dakota, Saratoga.
It is a random thing in our sport, what people are great at. Right? Like you meet someone and all of a sudden you're like, wait, you juggle 8 balls at a time or something, like random things that people are into for sure. But
you do now too.
I am a juggler, but speaking languages is for sure part of it. But I wanted to talk to you about Wednesday for sure up there. But how is your race meet going? You guys have one of the longest race meets in the country, frankly, from April until November. Obviously those quarter horse days mixed in. You guys have a mixed breed meet throughout the year. Wednesday, though, these Wednesday stakes days, what do you guys run on Wednesdays?
Yeah, we run them on Wednesday in the middle of the week because it's just such a sweet spot. This week we're having the Hoosier Heartland, and also that's in race 7, and they're full fields too, and the Empire. But yeah, it's a really long meet. We've got these, and then one more in the end of November or September, and then we just got a couple in October, and then we're pretty much done. I mean, it's just we're going all the way till mid-November, so it's nice to have them kind of spaced out here at the end, and it's kind of downhill from here. We don't have as many events, but a lot of really good racing events, more than the fun retail kind of stuff.
We just talked with Greg Justice on this program, and he's he's one of those guys moving the breeding program there in Indiana way ahead. I mean, since when you started to where you are now, Rachel, I mean, that state program has really, really flourished.
I know it really has. And I actually have to reach out to him as well. He wants to advertise a little bit at the track next year, so he's on my list. But I saw him at the races with his son. He doesn't come a lot often. He watches, obviously, but his farm is kind of far away. So him and his son were there, and they are just great people. And I always tell people, like when I'm on FanDuel and talking to people in California, and they're like, hey, for people who don't always watch, tell us some names. And I'm like, look, you see a horse in an Indiana-bred race that has the name Justice in it, just bet it. Just remember the name Justice.
It's live.
Definitely an angle.
That's exactly right. But yeah, that program up there, Rachel, as we watch around the country, and certainly, here in Kentucky, we have our own, frankly, as we wrap up Kentucky Downs, our own, treasure of riches around here for sure. How important is the Indiana-bred program, though, for what you do at Horseshoe?
It is. Yeah, it's really important. I mean, honestly, it's not only important, but it pays really, really well. I mean, I've got sponsorships with TOBA and HBPA, which, the Horsemen's Benevolence is more for, the people side of it. But, the Indiana Thoroughbred and, Owners and Breeders Association here in Indiana is amazing. I mean, you get like a 40% supplement for Indiana-breds. We've got great purse structure here. The Indiana maidens go for, 38,000, and it's just really, really pays, and they're not expensive. Like, watch the September sale. I mean, it's
what about you? Yeah.
I'm not trying. I'm just saying you could get a decent Indiana bred and make a lot of money. Not, Kentucky Derby money, but you can make good money breeding and owning in this state. We have an amazing program. So I don't think people kind of really realize that. They are starting to, I think, since we've been advertising a lot more.
Well, frankly, if your horse is good enough, you got Kentucky right next door. You can get down to
you can still go down there
anywhere you want. Frankly, if you have a great Indiana bred, for sure. So no, I'm with you on that. Just watching the development. This was my 5th Indiana Derby as a media member this year, Rachel, and watching the development of that program. It used to be, oh man, there's a state bred stakes on Indiana Day. Not anymore. We get excited about those. Those are good races now for sure. And so it's been nice. Wow. It's been nice, not just the quantity, like you talk about, where the gates are full. Like we're getting, full gates of horses, and we, in other places with, oh, this is a grade 2 for $300,000. Why are there only 5 horses? We never have to worry about that at Horseshoe.
Yeah, I think when we ran it in the fall, it made sense, but then things for a while, and then things kind of changed, and we really didn't change with the times. And then Eric came in and, call him the whiz kid. He's like, why are we running it here? Why can't we run it in July? Where there's a couple derbies that have moved around a little bit. Like I think Iowa Derby's on us now, but it's just a much better spot, and it's a really nice spot given the stakes races that are coming up later for the 3-year-olds. So definitely a smart move by Eric. I mean, not just because he's my boss and I want brownie points, but I think that's really helped because we've gotten huge names picking our race instead of in the fall when the season's almost over for these 3-year-olds or whatever.
Money talks, but so do graded stakes, right? And so having a grade 3 on
Yeah.
that on the Derby and on the Oaks is super important for your program for sure. But looking forward to Wednesday. What should people expect if they haven't spent enough time? Because shame on you if you haven't checked out Horseshoe Indianapolis and want to check it out on Wednesday.
Well, we're here for the degenerates because if you are craving betting on some good, nice races and big fields from the weekend and it's the middle of the week, we got your back. And so yeah, Wednesday, I think the 7th race goes off at around 5:15. We start at 2:10. An amazing card. We've got the late and early pick 5. We put the dollar pick 4s on, and these two are included in those late pick 5s and pick 4s. But the Hoosier Heartland, it's a full field as of right now. It's a 1.6 on the dirt, $100,000 guarantee. These are Indiana sired. But the morning line went to the 3, Imagine the Moon, who just won an allowance, won the Shelby County handicap as well. Good numbers. Molly's Potion, I don't know what happened to her last year. She was just winning stakes races and races left and right, and this year she's not doing that well. I think she'll be my long shot because Deshawn's back. DP's up on her tomorrow or Wednesday, so I'm really excited about that. And then in the interest of time, I think the 8th race, for the guys, it looks pretty interesting as well. Tiana's got a nice long shot in there. Forever Greedy, who I really like, who was second in the Sagamore back in May. But the favorite is the 4, Who's Your Daddy Now? Marcelino's up for John Langemeyer. Just ran the Bucaro, but last year had a couple of really close ones, a second in the Unreachable Star. So I think that horse has some nice chance to kind of push the pace, probably sit back. Not a whole lot of early speed in this one for sure.
Well, we'll be watching Who's Your Daddy Now for sure on Wednesday. It is what it is. But Rachel, we appreciate you. Again, Horseshoe Indianapolis running Monday through Thursday this week. Certainly check them out on that stakes day on Wednesday. And they have those pick 5s. If you haven't checked them out, just a scotch under 12% takeout and a $1 pick 4, which with the size of fields in Indiana can be pretty challenging, but also has made the payouts really awesome as well. Have you gotten good returns on the $1 pick 4?
Yeah, we have. I literally have only hired one random person with no profile picture and 4 followers complain about it. Everyone else loves it.
Sorry, I'm against the $1 pick 4, and I'll get more followers later. Okay, Rachel?
Exactly. $1 pick 4 is much more important. But I do want to tell you guys, we're racing Monday through Thursday for the rest of the month.
Nice.
So that way, it's been jumping around a lot. So I just told everybody on FanDuel, I just want to tell you guys that, and I put it on our signal too, because it's nice when you don't have to announce the different days. So I'm glad to have a Monday through Thursday block for the next few weeks, guys, and no Saturdays.
No Saturdays at all, which means I don't get to work. Her name is Rachel. She's out there at Racing Rachel M if you want to find her on the socials. Thank you, Rachel.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Yeah. There you go. Rachel M here with us on BloodHorse Monday. Appreciate her jumping on. It is a really fun day of racing on those Wednesdays, those stake Wednesdays. So if you're looking for a spot to bet this Wednesday, certainly check out our friends up there in Shelbyville, outside of Indianapolis, of course, at Horseshoe Indianapolis. All right. Thanks to Rachel for joining us from Horseshoe Indianapolis or presenting the show today. Great partners of ours here on BloodHorse Monday, a place that you and I very much enjoy going. Mm-hmm. It's about the same drive for us to there as it is to say a little less actually than like an Ellis or something like that.
Yeah,
so,
a little bit less than what I was doing at Kentucky Downs.
Also that, right. We don't mind when they call us and say, hey, we want to hang out on BloodHorse Monday for sure. But I hate to do this, Sean, because there's a chance you're going to spontaneously combust. The Churchill opens on Thursday and there's a Derby prep on Saturday. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's just say this is the beginning of the greatest time of the year, where it's Kentucky Derby season, as far as I'm concerned.
We've got some runners in this that we expect We expected to see it comports in here.
I just want to point out, everybody
Okay.
watching, entries just came out as we're doing the show, and we're already on top of things. So that's how excited that we both are, apparently, for the Kentucky Derby prep season.
Of course. No, but like, look,
here you are showing me the email, like, oh, look, we just got all the entries in the middle of the show.
called being a professional. Thank you. This show, very professional. Spice Runner, Comport, both going to be in here. Obviously, Comport out of the Keneally barn. We're going to have Spice Runner out of that Asmussen barn. He has won this race 3 times. So even though we don't associate Steve Asmussen yet with the Kentucky Derby, we saw with Greg Foley this weekend. It's never too late to win your first grade 1 or your first Derby, right? So certainly those things. But he does have Spice Runner in here. Jose Ortiz is going to be real live on Saturday.
Yeah, he's going to be real live on Saturday. This is always an exciting one. I mean, we saw the Iroquois. I feel like a lot of times gets a bad rap just because, you know, you don't know. A horse has not won the Kentucky Derby yet that has run in this race. And a lot of times you don't always see the horses make it to the Derby. But we had several horses from this race last year that made it to the Derby. Owen Almighty, Sandman was in this race. I want to think, was Tastastic in this race? No, he had just run a Kentucky Downs. It was the Street Sense that he came in. But yeah, it was.
Don't read that out loud. There are 3 errors in that.
Yes. No, I'm not going to be reading that. I knew that was an error right off the bat. But yeah, so this is a race that, you know, it kicks off the season, and it always is an exciting race, especially since they turned it back to a 1-turn mile. I think it definitely kind of makes it a little bit more interesting because you have horses that are going to either be stretching out down the line, or, you know, some of these horses that can run well and, you know, become good sprinters out of this. So even though it might be too early for everyone except myself to start thinking about the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, this is a good group of 2-year-olds that are running this weekend, and hopefully one of them is going to turn into something down the line.
A couple of years ago, a man named a horse named West Saratoga, won this race.
Yes.
And a man named Larry Demerett won it, and eventually navigated that horse all the way through his 2 or 3-year-old seasons and got into the starting gate for the Kentucky Derby. I have to tell you, when I think of the Iroquois, I think of him.
Yes.
And that is always a good thing. Yeah. But when he won that race, it is the biggest smile in the history of Churchill Downs.
Yes, it is.
Because it already was to start with. And then when he won that race, it was an even bigger smile. And so that's what I think of when I think of the Iroquois.
Yes. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because as I was listing the horses that were in it last year, West Saratoga did pop into my mind, but that was 2 years ago now that he was in that race. But yeah, that kind of, for a lot of people in the industry, I think that was the introduction to Larry when West Saratoga came in. So yeah, but he'll definitely be, I know, on both of our minds when we're at Churchill this weekend, having, you know, he just passed away a couple months ago, so we'll definitely be thinking of you, Larry, while we're out there at Churchill.
Dazzling Dame, almost certainly the favorite in the Grade 3 Pocahontas, of course, the beginning of the road to the Kentucky Oaks to be run a day before the Derby in the spring. We'll look ahead. We'll have the Turf Cup winning in. Excuse me, that was last week. I'm sorry, but we'll continue to look ahead. We'll have
weekend at Woodbine.
Yeah, it is
Woodbine Mile.
We will, and that's a Breeders' Cup winning in, of course. So we will have Breeders' Cup winning into. To recap, not the Turf Cup, but the Woodbine Mile. Thank you. Yeah. We'll have that for sure. And then, of course, the Iroquois and the Pocahontas, we'll do those as well. I'm Louie Rabaut. He's Sean Collins. Again, check out the magazine at bloodhorse.com. Go click on that tab at the top of the page and get signed up for the daily as well. For Sean Collins, I'm Louie Rabaut. This has been another rendition of BloodHorse Monday. Have a great week. We'll see you next one.
The BloodHorse is dedicated to the improvement of thoroughbred breeding and racing for over 100 years. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and save BloodHorse Monday on all your platforms. For the latest news, analysis, and insights, visit us at bloodhorse.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.